In this video, we are going to look at some disturbing videos, expose some strange and odd news stories, and as always, we are going to go ahead and get right into today's video. In this next disturbing video clip, what the heck is going on with FEMA and Michigan? What exactly are they staging for? This video clip is from Angela Nashville on TikTok, and somebody left a good comment on this video. They said, "Since when does FEMA go to a location before an emergency situation happens? Aren't they called in by the government after a state of emergency?" Someone left a reply by saying, well, FEMA was in Florida a couple days before Hurricane Milton, and this person said, well, that is because you knew that a disaster was coming. But for what these people in Michigan know, no disaster is supposed to come their way. So again, the question happens to be, what is FEMA setting up and staging for?
What the heck is going on in rural Michigan? Listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. FEMA's big move to tiny Michigan town has residents on edge. Rightfully so. In an unexpected turn of events, FEMA has rolled into a small rural town in Michigan with a staggering convoy of 350 different vehicles, semi-trucks, trailers, setting up a large-scale base in an area with fewer than 1,000 residents. This once quiet town is now bustling with activity as FEMA trucks, semi-trailers filled with equipment, and a large number of emergency support personnel establish a major operation hub at the town's small regional airport.
Next would be the airport report. That would be me. The airport was just notified that FEMA has chosen the airport facility as a stationing hub for emergency services through FEMA. They will be serving 6 counties in this area, and they will be bringing in some 350 semi-trailers with equipment to park on the base. So if you see a lot of trucks coming into the base, that's what it is. It's nothing to get scared about. They're staging for emergency situations in any of these 6 counties that FEMA.
So I think something was going to happen in Michigan, and this gentleman here, this board member, he spoke a little too soon, and it caused people in Michigan, this town in Michigan, to worry, to start to panic. And then FEMA had to come out and make a statement, clarify his statement, saying there are absolutely no emergency stagings taking place in this area. This man may have accidentally spilled the beans. Reading this article from WCMU Public Media, which was published on November 13th, this article is titled, "Misunderstanding About FEMA Emergency Site in Oscoda Sparks Alarm." The article goes on to say, a comment by an Oscoda Township board member stating the Federal Emergency Management Agency would use the Oscoda Wurtsmith Airport as an emergency response hub sparked alarm and rumors online. Last month, Supervisor Bill Palmer said FEMA was using Oscoda Wurtsmith Airport for emergency stationing and would bring in 350 trucks with equipment. The airport was just notified that FEMA has chosen the airport facility as a stationing hub for emergency services, he said at a meeting from October 28th. If you see a lot of trucks coming into the base, that's what it is. It's nothing to get scared about. Well, people were not buying that statement because this caught fire online with internet users expressing confusion and outrage. Mike Hoadley, Michigan State Representative, stated, "We're getting calls from Tennessee, North Carolina, Florida," and he says that the story was sparked by what Palmer says was a mistake. Palmer told WCMU, as quoted, "I misspoke at the board meeting on October 28th, saying that FEMA was bringing in trailers, when I should have said they were considering the Wurtsmith Airport as a location." What is rather interesting is that if you go back and listen to Palmer speak, it sounds like there's a little nervousness in his voice, like he's exposing something. But the article continues to say that Hoadley said that FEMA met with airport officials 2 months ago, and they conducted a routine review to see if the site could work as a staging site for a potential emergency if ever needed. We've got to stay focused on the things we do know and not speculate on the things or create more questions than answers, Hoadley said. So basically, he's telling you to shut up and don't talk about it. What is rather interesting is that Next News Network, they're also talking about this on Twitter, And they actually have a map that shows the locations that FEMA was heading into Michigan, leaving from Wisconsin. They also say that the operation involved military-grade logistics, including the coordination of routes, detention facilities, and staging points. They also say their source confirmed that FEMA's actions in Michigan are following this exact blueprint, and that the maps don't lie. Another post says, Oscoda, Michigan, a decommissioned airbase, was identified during the operation as a key hub. FEMA has now turned it into a staging area, deploying hundreds of trucks and resources. This is not a disaster prep, it's federal mobilization. Now, I don't know exactly what this could be, whether this is a federal mobilization or they were preparing for some kind of upcoming quote-unquote natural disaster, but it seems like FEMA is now backing away after the public started to ask some questions. So yesterday was the United States congressional hearing on UFOs and aliens, and a lot of people are excited about this hearing because basically the United States government confirmed in a way that UFOs and aliens actually do exist, and well, basically the government, they know about it and they are covering it up. For some people, they thought that this hearing was boring and we really didn't learn anything new, but for many others, they thought that this hearing was more proof that the government, like I said, they know something and they are not telling the public. You all know me by now, how I feel about the whole UFO and alien talk coming from the government, because I do believe that things do exist, entities do exist, whether they reside in the waters, they come from another dimension, or both. I do believe that other things do exist. I do believe that shadow people exist. I really had a shocking moment learning about this other entity known as the Static Man, which I will get into in another video because something was confirmed to me that was said all the way back in the early 90s from my own siblings, and I come across it again from other people actually talking about this entity, and I have to say, I was absolutely mind blown, and I will cover this in another video. But for me, I do believe that two things can be true at the same time. I can believe that entities do exist, real entities, a variety of entities, and I can also believe that entities are being made in the lab, being made by the government. The reason why I make so many videos on AI is just to show how much it's advancing. And on top of that, we have these robots coming out, and then we have these holograms where they can actually touch you and you can actually touch them and they can speak. This video is not about Project Bluebeam, or if it is, I'll keep the talk very limited, but I just don't want us to fall for this great deception. Just out of nowhere, in this very small period of time between 2023 and 2024, there has just been an explosion of UFO and alien talk. And not just from the public, but like I've been saying, from the government. And you have to ask yourself why, after decades upon decades, that UFOs and aliens, these sightings, were swamp gas, weather balloons, a crazy, kooky conspiracy theory. Well, now they really want to have a serious talk about UFOs and aliens. So I am extremely weary about all this UFO and alien talk coming from the government. But one of the more interesting parts from the hearing came from a surprising person, and that person was Lauren Boebert.
Congresswoman Lauren Boebert won her new safely Republican seat by only half the margin of her Republican predecessors, but she is already back hard at work in Congress, laser focused on the issue that Coloradans sent her there to address: underwater space aliens. Boebert's on the House Oversight Committee, which is looking for secret government research into aliens and UFOs, which they now also call UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena. Today, 4 self-described UAP experts testified to their belief that the Pentagon is hiding proof of aliens visiting Earth. Boebert said, quote, "The American people are being kept in the dark." Her line of questioning was pretty out there.
There are rumors that have come up to the Hill of a secretive project within the Department of Defense involving the manipulation of human genetics with what is described as non-human genetic material, potentially for the enhancement of human capabilities, hybrids. Are any of you familiar with that? Yes or no?
No, ma'am.
I am not, ma'am.
I'm not.
No, ma'am. Non-human hybrids with special capabilities. Boebert was not done there. She spent most of her allotted time questioning the experts about alien cities and civilizations in the depths of the sea.
And so are there any accounts of UAPs emerging from or submerging into our water which could indicate a base or presence beneath the ocean's surface?
I don't know about a base, but as I mentioned, I had a different source entirely describe this pretty extraordinary footage that exists of orbs, of an orb coming out of the ocean and being met by another orb.
And seems like there's still some questions that we need answers to, and we will not relent until we get those to the American people.
Boebert clearly left the hearing without her answers on aliens, but said that she is looking forward to working with the incoming Trump administration to get to the bottom of this alien hybrid human thing and those underwater alien cities.
This question about human hybrids and underwater bases. But like I said, what was wrong with the question? I have really been on a Dulce, New Mexico high lately, and this question actually falls in line with what we know about Dulce, New Mexico. We do know for a fact, and it's not a conspiracy theory, it's a fact, because the United States government, they have lifted the ban on funding the crossbreeding of animals and humans, making these chimeras. So this is a fact. So it wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility that if they do have these actual non-human bodies that these whistleblowers are stating, that they could be also crossbreeding humans and animals with these entities and creating these super soldiers or these super people or perhaps these super slaves that are under MK Ultra. When I talk about Dulce, New Mexico, there will be people in the comment sections of those videos that will say you cannot talk about Dulce, New Mexico without mentioning Phil Schneider, and that's so true. This has also been going on since the 1930s, rumors of experiments taking place underground in New Mexico, and also there was this police officer named Gabe Valdez. He gave interviews with newspapers and radio stations stating how there was alien intervention and experiments actually taking place in Dulce. He would also state how there were documented unexplained cattle mutilations, leaving behind gas masks, glow sticks, and other sort of things that you would use with experiments. Valdez would also state in other interviews that there were sightings of a black, silent, sophisticated spacecraft, and there was the discovery of a fetus inside a deceased cow, but not a calf fetus. It looked more like a human, a monkey, and a frog. Which was rather interesting that I posted that video of this thing that was climbing all over this bed, leaving imprints, and it had a shadow. So it was either really good AI or it really was something that looked like a human mixed with a reptile and a monkey. Valdez also said it didn't have any bones in the head, which kind of eerily, again, looks like what was captured in that video. He also says it was full of water. Valdez thought, what else? The cows were incubating alien babies. Now, if this thing really is AI, and it strongly could be, maybe AI is taking images of what's actually out there, what's really out there, and creating animations out of it. You never know. Now, AI could be pulling from secret photos, secret files, secret videos, and declassified stuff. Again, we really don't know. Or AI is really given this information from the powers that be, certain three-letter organizations, to give us the truth in plain sight, like what we see in these Hollywood movies. When we think a lot of these Hollywood movies are just fiction, it's really scripts given by these three-letter organizations to give us the truth in plain sight, subliminal messages. Tim Anderson, a former police officer in Dulce, claimed to have seen a UFO in the town in the late 1990s, quoted as saying it lit up the whole valley and just disappeared into the rocks. He told the Santa Fe, New Mexican newspaper, "I just rubbed my eyes, did I really see that?" For a good measure, Anderson also believes Bigfoot resides in or near the town. This is also rather interesting because a few days ago, I made a video that included a news clip where the residents in this New Mexico town, or residents near Dulce, were saying how they actually saw UFOs, and not just UFOs, but also Bigfoot.
To conduct mind control and genetic experiments. Do you believe that?
Yeah. Well, a whole bunch of people seen it,
Like the ground open up, steam coming out of it.
They also claim they've seen some creatures cooked up in those experiments, like Bigfoot and something half human.
Down this way, the waist down, it's a goat. It has a tail.
And I often wonder, is it possible that these cryptids like Bigfoot, like the Dogman and others that are seen around Dulce and other locations, could they be actual experiments? human-animal chimeras, alien-animal or alien-human chimeras. There are theories that Bigfoot could actually be a Nephilim, and if we're talking about crossbreeding with entities like aliens or perhaps even fallen ones, and animals like apes or humans, that it's very possible that Bigfoot could be a species or a variety of Nephilim. Now, I don't want to spend too much longer on this subject because I have other video clips, other videos I do want to get into in this video, but I do also want to talk about Phil Schneider, and I think I will talk about him in another video, make a much larger video on him, because he's also another individual who exposed Dulce, and he passed away very mysteriously in 1996, and his wife believes that somebody actually, or somebodies, actually took his life. He spoke a lot about these DUMBs, which are deep underground military bases, how there was these experiments with these aliens, and also there were these conflicts that broke out, which left over 60 humans deceased. So again, I'm going to do a much bigger video focusing on Phil Schneider, his speeches, and really doing a deep dive. But this video clip really had to do about the hearing and how Lauren Boebert, again, was mocked for this question. But to me, like I said, it's a question that really has some legitimacy behind it.